Welcome to She Who Rises Up. I'm your host, Lara, and my intention is to uplift, elevate, and empower you through conscious conversations that will support your growth, healing, and evolution. My mission is to empower women and support the rise of the feminine in the corporate world. My favorite quote is, "She remembered who she was, and the game changed." And this is my desire for you ladies to remember who you are so you could change your game. Please come in and join me. This is your podcast. Ladies, hello, and welcome to another episode of our podcast, She Who Rises Up. How are you? How have you been? I'm in Madrid. I came here a few weeks ago. And it's been very interesting. I came to support my family, my pets, be with my niece and nephew who I have a lot of fun with. And I'm doing my best and also I'm immersed in some important business changes that I could not wait to share them with you when the time is right. Now, because I'm in Madrid, actually, I hope the sound is okay. I didn't bring my professional microphone. So, I thought to let you know that in case you see that there has been a dip in the sound. And I'm also aware, by the way, that I'm not consistent with the recording of this podcast. When I say consistent, I mean in the masculine way, with the structure, with it. Because I rather record these podcasts when I have something meaningful to say and when I'm feeling the topic, rather than record out of obligation, because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that doesn't work for me. Now, I was planning to talk about a different subject today. I was wanting to talk, originally I wanted to talk about feeling safe within yourself. But I decided last minute to focus on today's topic because I got reminded of something recently that's very common and it happens to many people. And the energy of this reminder pulled me strong to talk about it. Now, I will 100% talk about the subject of safety, inner safety. Number one, because it's a very important topic and it's a lot of women go through it, including myself. And also is a promise I made. Today's episode is called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Am I right or am I wrong? Now, the purpose of today's episode is to support you start shifting your perspective in relation to your relationships with people, with situations, and how, if you are open to it, these relationships or situations can act as portals to support your healing and the elevation of your consciousness. Please allow me to share a personal story. A few years ago, I was in the middle, or I had what it felt like quote-unquote disappointing business news. And I remember then to be quite disheartened and angry, especially because I was new in business. And I couldn't believe that after everything I had done for this organization, I would be treated in a way that I felt to be unkind, cold, and disrespectful. So what did I do? I called a friend and I started sharing my frustrations, bitching, moaning, going on and on about it. And my friend confirmed my disappointed, my friend soothed my feelings. I felt understood. I felt supported. Someone finally got me, someone got me against, someone was on my side against this tyrant. Then it seemed that I didn't have enough and I needed more reassurance. So what did I do? I called my super wise soul sisters. And I went into that conversation with the same energy and story to tell, hoping I would get another tap on the back and some sympathy. But They were having none of it. None of it. Zero contemplation, zero entertaining. Nothing, zero. And I was like, hey, I'm hurt. It's like, you're my friends. It's like, you're supposed to say, oh, Lara, poor you. That person is such a bitch. But instead, what did they say? They asked me a question. The power of questions. What is this situation reflecting back to you about you? What is this situation reflecting back to you about you? Now that disarmed me. That disarmed me back then. I was not prepared for it. But I embraced it. I went along with it. And this is when I realized that they supported me not by soothing my ego, but by igniting my soul. I sat with the feeling, and I realized that being hurt was because of a childhood wound that back then I wasn't even aware I had. And this wound got triggered by the situation, this frustrating situation. Now, this disappointing situation was actually an opportunity. It was a doorway of insights and wisdom and realizations, helping me to take a step further in my liberation. By the way, without even them knowing about it. That's the beauty. Let me pause here for a second. How many of you recognize yourself in this story? What do you do when you get triggered? Who shows up? The victim self? The wounded self? How many times have you even salt and peppered the story to suit the narrative of your ego, who is desperate for love and attention? Or was it your highest self, your highest expression, your highest potential, where the victim disappears to allow space for responsibility to show up, for healing to show up, for transmutation, elevation of consciousness to show up? Let me ask you this question. If you are immersed in something similar, maybe disappointment, maybe somebody did, quote unquote, did something to you or said something to you, ask yourself this question. What is this situation? What is this person reflecting back to you about you? What is it reflecting back to me about me? Powerful, right? Now, please allow me to offer you a few shifts in perspective today. Here's the first one. If you are serious and truly committed about your healing, your growth, and your consciousness adventure, please be incredibly mindful of who you share your disappointments and frustrations with. Because most time we go to people or friends or family members who have the best intentions of the world, but they are not equipped to support you at the level we need, at the level you need. Why is that? Because they will be providing you with advice and support, especially if they have not or are not working on themselves, from their own life experiences, from their own perspectives, including traumas and conditioning. Here's another perspective shift. What if this person or this situation, what if they got presented to you to help you see something, to feel something, to know something about you that you were not aware of? What if they are actually providing you with this amazing opportunity to shift old and outdated ways of being? What if they actually were messengers in the form of a sibling, a parent, a boss, a client, a co-worker, a neighbor, you name it, with a mission to support the elevation and the soul of your, and the growth of your soul? Are you willing to embrace this life philosophy? Because if you are, here's a little disclaimer, be ready for a wild, wild ride. Be ready for a wild ride. But I personally wouldn't have it any other way. Now, can we see also why so many people stay in victim mode? Because we need the courage, right, to do this work. And also it's way much easier to stay in victim mode rather than doing the work, right? And by the way, here's something else that just came to mind. It's also about finding a balance, right? This is, I'm an insight junkie, which means that I'm always looking for the lesson and the insight, but I also recognize that we need to bring balance into it. It's about living our lives and participating in life, and also be open to the teachings and the learning. So how can we find that balance too? Now, one of my favorite quotes, it's by Eleanor Roosevelt, that says, "Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent." Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. And I add to that, nobody can make you feel anything without your consent. And if you are consenting, what's the reason? If you are feeling inferior, what's the reason? Why is that? So a few days ago, which is what sparked the idea of recording today's episode, I was in a similar situation yet again. And I say yet again because between the first story that I've mentioned and today, it happened many times. And by the way, later on, towards the end of today's podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you a framework that tremendously helped me in embracing this life philosophy. So stay tuned. So I was triggered by the comments and behavior of a person and I revisited an old self, the victim self. Now, by the way, the shifts and insights become way much quicker, and the lessons are more profound each time. Now, let me share with you another perspective shift. An insight, actually, rather. The whole point of healing and working on yourself is freedom. Be mindful, please be mindful, that as you heal, you're not creating and enslaving yourself in a more elevated reality. Here's another insight. What would happen? What would happen if we stopped calling people names? He is such a, she is such a, they are such a, because what we refer to as personality traits, or what commonly referred to as personality traits, more often than not, they are trauma responses. They are trauma responses. So imagine if we stopped calling people names, and we start seeing things and situations and people with more compassion, that they're doing their best, where exactly they are in life. Now, let me share with you this very, very high level framework that I've mentioned earlier on that made a huge, huge impact in my life. It really helped me take responsibility and accelerated my growth tremendously. It also made me learn about the concept of projections. I was given this wisdom, in fact, a few years ago. So I'm very, very grateful to my sister who shared it with me, my sister Gemma. And since then, it's been part of my life philosophy, literally super embedded. And also I share it with, when I do one-to-one work with the ladies, and also as part of my women's program that I run for corporations. Now, this framework is called the Mirror Rule. The Mirror Rule. By the way, there is a book, a PDF. It's about 11 pages, if I'm not mistaken, 11 or 13 pages that you could download online. So check it out. Now, the mirror rule, basically, the whole philosophy is about, again, realizing that situation, people reflect things back to us, right? And it consists basically of four pillars that I'm going to be sharing with you now. So if you want to pause this and get yourself a pen and paper, so you could take some notes. The first pillar says, everything I hate or dislike about the other person is also within me. Everything I hate or dislike about the other person is also within me. This is a big ouch, huh? This is a big ouch. Sometimes, by the way, it's a like for like, and sometimes we need to do a little bit of a digging there. I'll give you an example. Not a long time ago, I was part of a Zoom call with other coaches. And I felt there was a lot of bitching and moaning and complaining going on there. And I was the Zen coach, I was like, oh, I don't need this negativity in my life. And what did I do? When the meeting finished, I went to a soul sister and I started bitching, complaining about the situation. And I caught myself. So it's like, oh my God, okay, I see that. Oh, wow. So everything I hate or dislike about the other person or situation is also with me. Second, feedback, comments that I receive, if they hurt or annoy me, they are repressed areas within me that need healing. Feedback, comments that I receive, if they hurt or annoy me, they are repressed areas within me that need healing. So that story that I shared with you was a piece of feedback for me. Comments that I received in the past where I felt annoyed, especially because I was a professional people pleaser. And as a professional people pleaser, and I'm sure that many of you will recognize this, any feedback that is quote unquote constructive, oh my goodness, it's like stays with us for a very long time, right? It deepens the wound of the I am not good enough. However, if we stay at that level, we will perpetuate the same story over and over again. But when we start paying attention to these feedback and these comments, and this is when we start bringing more awareness into ourselves. The third pillar is, everything is going to get easier now. Everything I love or like about the other person is also within me. Everything I love or like about the other person is also within me. So when we see somebody who's confident, who, we admire their strength or their whatever that is, it's already there, that in you. It needs to be activated. It needs to be embodied, but it's already within you. Pillar number 4, feedback or comments that I receive, if they don't hurt or annoy me, they have nothing to do with me. They are basically not ours. It belongs to the other person. So feedback, comments that I receive, if they don't hurt or annoy me, they have nothing to do with me. It belongs to the other person. This is what we refer to as projection. Now, I wish that I knew this back in the days. When I say back in the days, basically, even when I was a people leader, and when I was in the corporate world, and hence the reason of I love sharing these philosophies. Are not, by the way, this is not mainstream corporate teachings, yet they are deeply, deeply, deeply profound. Okay, I'm going to leave it here. But before we do that, let's pick a card. I don't remember if last time we picked a card. And you know, we love the cards here. This time I'm picking a card from a deck called Soul Coaching Oracle card by Denise Lynn. So let's see, what card are we going to get as part of today's conversation? Let's see. I'm shuffling the cards. Surrender. Surrender. The surrender card. All is well. All is, oh my goodness, how beautiful is this, right? All is well. I surrender to my inner guidance. I surrender to my inner guidance. How appropriate and on point this card is. As usual. Another one. Faith. My life is divinely guided. If you were to pay attention, are we paying attention to life? My life is divinely guided. Ooh, stunning. Okay, ladies, I'm going to start wrapping up. I really hope you got so much of from today's episode. It's been packed with insights and wisdom and teachings from my own experiences, but also things that I've learned in the past from other wonderful and very evolved humans. As usual, if you have any questions, if you want to share with me, please. What have you learned or got reminded of about today's episode? And I will see you very soon. Bye-bye. That's all for today, ladies. Thank you so much for joining this space, and I truly hope you found it insightful. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends and the women in your lives so they could also benefit from it too. If you want to get in touch, you are very welcome to contact me through Instagram, LinkedIn, or send me an email to support@laracalaf.com. Speak to you very soon.